So we are live. So we are live and recording as well. So whichever you're watching, it's all good. This is Cat Lady Justin, and I'm here with the Kitty Boss podcast recording it. So if you're listening, thank you. And this is our special monthly catching up with Dr. Rachel Geller. So she needs no introduction, but I'll give you one anyway. She is one of the world's top cat behaviorists, the author of books, the remarkable human being who offers her services at no charge because she's on a mission to make sure that at least 1,000 cats a year stay in their homes. So don't let any behavior issues get in your way. Call Rachel Geller. And there she is, the lovely, the talented Dr. Rachel. So welcome once again. I've been waiting all month, as always, to have you here for our catch up, which is always so much fun. So welcome and thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me. It is always a blast to catch up with the Cat Lady Justin.
It is. And Cat Lady has a cat tie today. I have a whole collection of these. So I'm not trying to be overly formal with the cats. And certainly cats might be interested in doing that with a tie, but I just get a kick out of these, so I gotta wear it. And then in the summertime when it's warm, I'll be wearing my kitty cat t-shirts and showing off various other things for you. So this month we once again didn't get asked too many questions, so I thought we've had some really cool posts that I've made about different cat type issues, and so I thought we could just kind of discuss them if you want.
That sounds great.
Some of the things that are pertinent. Now, as you know, we're recording this in December. So if someone's listening to this and it's not December, then that's okay, because there will always be another Christmas, another Hanukkah, another Kwanzaa, another holiday season. So I think what would be really appropriate is to discuss issues potentially, but also just various things around the holiday season for cats, because I know that Charlotte, when she was a kitten, used to love to jump in the Christmas tree when we had that. And it was just a funny thing. I have so many photos of seeing this little cute kitten's face popping up like an ornament in the tree. And then Emily used to like to lay down under the tree. And I have this gorgeous photo of her framed by this like greenery over here with her big face and her big eyes. But I'm very lucky because my cats did not cause any damage, neither to tree nor to ornament, but some cats do. So I did make a post on it about various things that you could do, tips about keeping the cat away. But how about we talk about that for starters?
Yeah, that's a really great topic because, we have Hanukkah, we have Christmas, and I do get a lot of questions, regarding safety with candles in the menorah, Christmas trees, keeping the cats away. So, there are a few things that you can do. One of the easiest ways might be just to use a little bit of a deterrent around the tree. A lot of cats don't like the smell of lemon or citrus. So there are many products that you can use for cats that are completely safe. They're non-toxic, and they're sprays. And you can put a little spray, almost like a barrier around the tree. And that's probably the easiest thing to do. Make sure any ornaments that might be, dangerous or up higher. Some people start decorating their tree, maybe a couple of feet up rather than use the bottommost branches, because that might be a little safer for, if you have a cat who's very curious and likes to climb. The other thing you can do is, some cats don't like the feel of things like tin foil, or there's actually a product called X-Mat, which is specifically made to keep cats away from certain areas. So you can put that on the floor as well. Sometimes even just a carpet runner with the nubby side up is enough to sort of distract the cat from the tree, because that's a texture that a lot of cats really don't like. So the easiest thing is probably to use a deterrent, and that way you don't always have to be there, monitoring the tree, and you don't always have to be reprimanding your cat to stay away.
Yeah, and that's a good point. We want to use deterrents, right, to help discourage them from being attracted to the tree or causing any damage to it. But let's avoid using anything that might damage the cat, because there are obviously things you could do or use that the cat would would despise, but that could injure the cat. On that note, though, um, ornaments, Christmas ornaments, a lot of times are made from glass, and a lot of times they're quite fragile. And that can be a little bit dangerous if it shatters, if you have a cat that likes to, bop them off the tree. And so what could we do to minimize that other than, just use plastic or felt ornaments or those that are made from not materials that won't break? Other than that, what could we possibly do?
Right. I mean, that would be the best case scenario, obviously, to use materials in the first place that are safe for your cat. But, somebody might have a special ornament, or it has a place in their heart or a sentimental value, which I completely understand. So, you know what, I would say in that case, those are the ornaments that should go up high. Have them out of reach, have them on the uppermost part of the tree. That's where it's going to be the safest for your cat. And again, I think the point that you made is a really good one. And I'll say it again. We do want to use deterrents, because deterrents protect the relationship between you and the cat. You're not always reprimanding the cat. You're not always yelling at your cat. And they work even when you're not there. But we want the deterrents to be safe. And so that's why I always recommend products that are completely safe for cats, non-toxic for cats. It won't scare the cat. It'll be more that the cat will come to the conclusion completely on her own that this is not an appealing or delightful place to be. And that's how we want to do it.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And that's actually a very interesting behavioral point that you brought up, which is very true for cats, but actually, believe it or not, also true for managers in the workplace, which is which is that you want to make them think that it's their idea.
Yes, with cats,
So,
it's always best to let them come to the conclusion on their own. And yes, let the cat think that it's completely their idea. This is what the cat wants to do. You have nothing to do with it. And yeah, probably a great technique to use with people as well.
yeah, well, especially in the workplace, and I heard in the home too. I mean, I don't currently have any spouse or anything, but I heard it's a really good idea in the home as well, and even with children, to make them think that it's their idea. It's a little bit manipulative, but on the other hand, it's also really good psychology and good kitty cat psychology. Now, how about presents? Because obviously, whether it's Christmas or Hanukkah, it involves usually some presents, more or less, depending on the budget of the family. And so what do we do in that? Because cats obviously would be curious, and they might want to get into it, or they might have some presents. And then, like me, for example, I would put stockings up for the cats, but I don't really put any presents in there because they get presents year round from me. There's no holidays or whatever. And so, what could we do? What suggestions or tips do you have around that?
Yeah, one thing I say is if you have a cat who really is enticed by string toys or, um, things that small, skinny things that move, shoelaces, string toys, wand toys, that type of thing, you
Hmm.
may want to skip the ribbons, because ribbons are something that are very enticing to some cats, and they're easy to ingest, and they're fun, right? Sometimes they're those curly ones, can kind of move. So it can entice your cat, and you don't want your cat to eat a ribbon, because that might result in a trip to the emergency room, because, it could affect the cat's digestive tract. She could get an upset stomach. Sometimes cats can't pass that stuff out right away. So, if you know your cat's best, right? I mean, some cats, you can stick a present that's wrapped, and the cat, maybe the cat couldn't care less. But some cats, that's a big enticement. So if you have a cat who loves ribbons, that's something they're always seeking out, is things, think about what your cat likes to play with. Is she seeking out shoelaces, strings, even dental floss, things like that, of that nature, that might be left around? That's a cat who is going to be enticed by a ribbon. So maybe just, decide to decorate the presents without the ribbon. Maybe just use a plain bow
Hmm.
or something instead, or use something that's not a fabric that, or texture that can be so easily ingested. So as far as the wrapping paper goes, there are some cats, again, you can crumple it up and they like to play with it, but there are other cats who that's a big enticement to eat it. So, look at your own cat, right? If you have a cat who is a chewer, you have that cat who's chewing on plastic in the house, or chewing on, um, if you leave tinfoil on the floor or something like that, that's a cat who probably will be enticed to eat and chew the wrapping paper. So again, then you might want to put the presents in a place where they are out of reach for your cat.
Yeah, which makes sense because and certainly my cats to a certain degree are like that because I have found the occasional oops, it looks like our stream has been interrupted. For a second there, our stream got interrupted. I have found the occasional piece of string in the stool, in the litter box, in the poo, which means I know that Charlotte or Emily, one of them, is interested in that. So I'm usually very careful when it comes to that. But back to the question about presents. Um, as you know, there's the reputation that most cats generally will prefer the box that it came in versus the actual gift that you've purchased for the cat. So one thing to keep in mind, I think, is when it comes to budgets and spending money and all that, is that really cats are kind of easy to please when it comes to that kind of stuff. A nice little paper. Oh, speak of the devil, there's someone behind you. Uh, that often it's the simple, paper bag that the cat really loves versus the complicated cat toy.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's something to
Yeah.
really, really keep in mind. Charlotte certainly
Yeah.
loves the paper bag. She loves that cheap little cat toy with, I forget what it's called now, the
The
thing with the
cat
wire
dance.
and the
The
cat
cat dance
dancer, which is really
toy.
cheap. She loves
Yes.
that. The more expensive stuff that I've splurged on for her generally has gotten ignored. So
No, you have a very good point. You do not need to, break the budget to get something fun for your cat. As you mentioned, a box or a paper bag is a great toy for a cat. You can take an old tissue box and put a ball inside it. That can be a fun challenge for
mm,
a cat. So yes, you really don't have to break the budget to get a fun and enticing gift for your cat. So, don't feel like you need to be extravagant. Yeah, sure. If the sky's the limit, yes, there's all kinds of stuff on the market. But if you are watching your finances, there are plenty of ways you can amuse your cat, without going over budget. And Cat Lady Justin brought up my favorite toy. It is my go-to toy for all of my clients, and that is the cat dancer toy. I love it for a variety of reasons. First of all, it's one terrific toy. Cats just love the motion of it, but it is an inexpensive toy. It's like $2. Um, it's it's easily curled up. So unlike a big wand toy, if you live in a small space, it can be easily curled up and stashed almost anywhere. So it's really my go-to toy. So if you are looking for a Christmas present for your cat, I do recommend the cat dancer toy.
the cat dancer, yeah, and it's cheap as chips, as we say here in the UK where I live. So it's a really cool toy. So back to cats and holidays. There's also treats. I've seen cat advent calendars and cat recipes and various cat food, like a turkey dinner with the cranberry sauce or whatever. So in terms of that, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but cats are very much like humans. We should not overdo it during the holidays, but we can have a little treat. And I think that probably it would be the same with cats, unless I'm mistaken, is that we should maybe treat them to something special during the holidays, but being careful not to upset their stomach, not to completely, cause them to become obese or get diabetes or something like that. I've seen these little cute videos on the internet of a cat having some ice cream, and I'm like, that's adorable, but you need to be really, really careful because a cat is so delicate that pushing it over the edge with, sugar is very easily done, much easier than a human being. So I think those are the kind of things that would be really, I guess, smart to keep in mind over the holidays. Is
Yes.
can treat them a little bit, but we also don't want to overindulge.
I would agree with that 100%. It's totally fine to give a cat a little bit of a treat as long as they're not on a special prescription diet. If they are on prescription food, you probably want to avoid doing the treats. But as long as your cat's, healthy and not on a special diet, it's a little treat here and there, just like us, like you said, is completely fine. Um, and yeah, don't overdo it. I mean, in general, with cats, you never want to go from 0 to 60, and food is, in that umbrella. You don't want to drastically change their diet. You don't want to add all kinds of different things that you normally don't feed your cat, because they will. As you said, they're very sensitive. Their systems are much smaller and quicker than ours are. So if there is going to be a reaction or a problem, it can come on very suddenly and very quickly and very fiercely sometimes. So, you do have to really be careful. Some cats have problems tolerating, dairy products, ice cream, milk, things like that people kind of think are okay for cats, but a lot of cats have problems with that. So know your cat, know what your cat likes and dislikes. If you have any type of, question, you can always ask your veterinarian. But in general, anything that's sold at a legitimate pet supply store, that product will have already been tested and approved for cats. So you can feel okay giving your cat a treat once in a while, especially if she's been a good girl or boy.
Or just the right amount of naughty. So Hanukkah has just passed, and Christmas is obviously approaching. And one of the things that we have in common is chocolate. So in Hanukkah, there's the Hanukkah gelt, right? The little chocolate coins, but there's Christmas ones too. There's versions of that as well. And that's something that's a poisonous to cats. So we want to be very careful over the holiday season with things that are going to be toxic to cats. So for sure, chocolate's one of them. Don't give your cat chocolate. Keep them away from chocolate. Actually, that goes for dogs too. So, but this isn't a dog podcast. This is the kitty boss, not the doggy boss or the doggy daddy or whatever. But it's really important to keep them away from chocolate. But as Christmas is approaching, there's a few traditions and plants that go along with Christmas that are not exactly healthy for cats. And if I'm not mistaken, one of them is mistletoe.
Yes.
Not exactly the best. In fact, I think it's quite poisonous for a cat to ingest, to eat mistletoe. So as cute as it is to, stand under it and get a kiss, you want to really be careful with the kind of things that you put around the cat that they may have access to, whether it's on the wreath, whether it's in the mistletoe, and even the tree itself. I think we should be quite mindful of that. And also the various scents, the candles, the essential oils, or the various things. I have some that smell like the holidays, but they might actually be irritants for our feline friends. So can you think of some other ones that you would add to, or would you?
No, that's a really good point, because in general, anything with, scents and additives, we enjoy it, but cats may find that those things, like you said, to be an irritant. They don't do well with things with added scents and added ingredients in general. So, again, limit that type of stuff, and your own cat, just like people, cats are more or less sensitive to those things. So, use your best judgment. In general, most plants associated around the holidays will cause, they are either poisonous or will cause stomach upset to a cat if ingested. So in general, keep all kinds of plants out of reach of your cat, because it can be a big danger. Chocolate, as you said, is upsetting to cats. And even think about things like, eggnog or things like that, right? I mean, it's going to smell enticing to a cat. There are cats who will find those smells enticing, but you certainly don't want your cat to ingest any alcohol.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yes. We don't want any alcoholic cats. And then, so plant wise, like poinsettias also are a Christmas tradition. They're beautiful, but they're not beautiful for cats. So we want to be very careful about that. And you can make a choice. You can either not have them in your home. This is generally what I favor. Or if you really heart set on them, then just make an effort so that it's not accessible to the cat, because otherwise you might be looking at a trip to the vet or worse. And you don't want that. That's the last thing you want.
That's the last one of the holidays. Just so I wanted one thing about the accessibility too. Sometimes people will put something really up high and they'll think, this is really great. My cat can never leap here. But look around, because if there's a midpoint that the cat can get to one spot and then the other, she may still be able to get up to that plant. So really do a good, real estate assessment around where you're putting those plants and make sure there's no way for the cat to get up there. And cats can jump pretty high. So, think of a good 6 or 7 feet up. But in general, make sure there's not like a chair or a table nearby that the cat can use as a midpoint.
I was just looking around because I think I hear my Charlotte approaching. She certainly was calling me earlier. Um, Charlotte, are you here? Anyway, she'll come if she wants to. So there's as we're nearing the end of our episode today, there's something very, very important for us to talk about really quickly. The holiday time is sometimes a time where people think, here's a present for you, little puppy, a little kitten, or something like that. And that's adorable, isn't it? However, I think, I mean, I hope that today most people realize that it's not a present like a stuffed animal that you can then put away or get rid of, but it's still an issue. And so I would really like to take a few minutes to discuss and really emphasize, harp upon, and really hit home that when you adopt a cat, that's for life. That's a, you know, 15, 20 or more year commitment that you're making. And it's not a temporary commitment that you're making. So think about that. Now, of course, we want to encourage adoption. We want to encourage people to go and rescue a cat. But on the other hand, that's not to say that, oh, it's Christmas, so we'll have a cat for a month. It's got to be something that we take seriously. And as the holidays are approaching, it would be really great for less and less people to make this mistake. And I think we are trending in that direction of people not doing that anymore. But I'd like to talk about that for a few minutes because it's really important. And I know you do a tremendous amount of work with local shelters around the East Coast. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, that is such a great point. I'm so glad you brought that up. I mean, you know, choosing a cat is such a personal thing. I mean, just imagine if somebody said to you, "Oh, here's your Christmas present. Here's your new wife." I mean, that's kind of what people are doing when they give you a cat. So,
I think some
that's
people wouldn't mind that too much, but that's a different show.
that's a whole other thing. But you know, you get my point. I mean,
Mm.
typically people like to make that decision on their own. But like you said, you know, a cat is not a gift that you go like a sweater that you're going to open up and wear whenever you feel like wearing that sweater. A cat is a daily commitment for the next, you know, 15-20 years, maybe even more if you're lucky. Um, a cat involves time, a cat involves expense, and cat involves a lot of commitment. So this is something that really does not work as a gift. This is something that a person, now, if somebody says to you, I would love to adopt a cat, would you accompany me to the shelter and help me pick out a cat? That is a lovely gesture, but you definitely should not just go to a shelter, pick out a cat that you think is cute and give it to somebody else as a gift. Unfortunately, the vast majority of the time when this happens, those cats do get surrendered back to the shelter, and that's not ideal for the shelter, for the cat, for the shelter, and I'm sure the recipient feels badly doing that too. So yeah, cat
Yeah, if they have any
living
kind of
beings should never
conscience,
be
yeah.
gifts. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and that's a good point because while in theory it's a cute gift, and conceptually speaking, one of the things that we talk about in, you know, the Kitty Boss and in the book and everything is that how to pick your cat, how to pick, pamper, and protect, you know, the whole thing that we got going on, but how to choose a cat. And it's a two-way street. It's like matchmaking. It's not that, oh, you just pick the cutest thing, you want a calico or you want a ginger tom or whatever. It's picking you. So you really want it to be a two-way street. There's got to be chemistry. There's got to be whatever you want to call it, you know, because you could use whatever term you want, whether you want to talk about energy or chemicals or whatever, it doesn't matter. The point is it's a two-way street. It's a two-way match. So you might think it's adorable, but it hates you. And so there's some chemical thing, and you don't want to adopt that kind of cat. That's not going to be the relationship that you're going to want with the cat, the thing that's going to be standoffish and hiding under the bed for the rest of your life. You want something that is amenable to you. And even though there are, of course, tons of things that you could probably advise people on to change and better that relationship, why get started off on the wrong foot? So I
Right.
think
Yeah. Yeah.
why fight an uphill battle unless you're rescuing cats, unless you're one of those people who foster cats and so that's your mission. If you're just the normal average person or family that doesn't have a lot of time to devote, that is not a full-time cat carer, and so you can't take all this time to really nurture that animal, make it a downhill battle, make it a downstream flow where you pick something that it's going to be easy for you guys to get along. And so really consider that as it's not an appropriate gift.
Yes.
Maybe a shelter can do something like create gift certificates for a cat and say, your gift is in here and it's a gift certificate. So I will go with you and we will pick out a kitty cat together. So that
Yes.
could be wonderful.
That would
Like
work.
you
Any
suggested.
shelter will allow you to, pay an adoption fee for somebody if you would like to do that. But, definitely just don't go to the shelter and say,
Yeah. And
that you get
box
the
up a cat and put it under the tree,
right. And
with a little hole
everybody
in the box.
wants something so different. Some people want a playful cat. Some people want a lap cat. Some people would prefer a cat who's not as needy. Some people don't want a kitten. They would rather have an older cat. So there are so many personal preferences. Again, think about when you're picking out a companion for yourself. You have your own preferences, and getting a companion animal is really no different in that aspect.
Yeah, it's a relationship. It's a relationship, and that is really the most you can say about it. Really, is that it's not just. I like to really say it's not a stuffed animal. It's not a plush toy. It's a relationship that you have with a living being. And I saw a really cute video on YouTube yesterday about a woman and her relationship with a bee. A queen bee that she rescued, that lost its wings, and she cared for it. It probably didn't live very long because it's a bee, right? But she nurtured it. And it was so cute. You could see the bee like fall asleep in her hand. It was really adorable. So if you can have a relationship with an insect, you can imagine that you can have a relationship with an animal. And it's always a relationship, whether it's a good one or a not so good one. So I think that is incredibly important for us to realize that this is a great time to adopt, to rescue a life and bring it and embrace it into your home and into your love and into your life. It's a great time to do that, but not as a random gift to put under the tree, even for your children. Even if they've been begging for a kitten, it's not something that you grab the night before, you stick it in a box and you surprise them with it. You want to, like I said, a great idea, a little gift certificate saying you have a date with the shelter to pick out the cat of your dreams, and you go with even a child to
Yes.
there. And that way, maybe they can open it up and they can see, oh, yay, I get to go pick out a kitten next week.
Yes.
And that's probably the best thing to do, even though, sure, it would be such a magical moment if the ideal scenario and the kitten pops up and they love each other. But that doesn't always happen. The kitten pops up and it's not so great. So I think that is probably the ideal scenario, no matter the age of the cat or the age of the child or the person receiving the gift. Although, again, I do encourage the gift of that, the gift of adoption during this season, but doing it in that logical way, I think is probably the best.
Yes, absolutely. Agree 100%. Make it a family thing. Take your kids to the shelter with you to choose that, kitty that's going to be your companion. And what a lovely thing for the kids too, to see the shelter and see what's, the life-saving mission of that shelter and what the shelter's doing, and pick out the cat that the whole family will love.
Yeah, I think that would be that would I would love that. I mean, although my problem would be I'd want to adopt like a bunch of them. I don't know if I could go home with just one, but yeah, it'd be such a lovely family outing, for that thing. So that's the best holiday advice, the best holiday cheer. And since our next meeting will be in January, the very final thing I'd like to talk about is New Year's, because New Year's, generally speaking, is accompanied by fireworks. And so fireworks, as we know from other holidays, like we'll probably talk about this again around in July, is something very scary for cats, or for most cats. I'm sure there's some cats that are cool with it. I'll be honest with you, I don't like them. I find it scary. I think it sounds like I'm some kind of bombing in a war zone. So I don't like fireworks, but some people love them, and fine, God bless them. But most cats get frightened, get scared, get nervous, get anxious. The fireworks is not a great thing. So what I do is a little bit of fell-away or feel-away, however you want to pronounce it, which is that pheromone diffuser and spray that you can help calm them down. But I also stay home. I stay home with them. I don't go out for New Year's because I know that they need me and I want to be there for them. It's not an imposition. And I don't host a massive New Year's party with a bunch of drunk people at my house screaming Happy New Year and scaring the daylights out of my cats. again, that's a choice I'm going to make. I don't want to be a party pooper. If somebody, wants to have a New Year's celebration or that's fine. But what advice would you give around New Year's, now that we've handled Christmas, New Year's, and our cats?
Yeah, so a lot of cats are terrified of fireworks, just like they're terrified of thunder and lightning. And yes, it varies greatly cat to cat. So I have a cat right now who couldn't care less. She hears the noise. She'll say, "Oh, it's the 4th of July. There's fireworks. When's lunch?" I mean, she really couldn't care less. And the little guy who you see behind me, he's terrified. He runs and hides, he's a little hiding spot in the house and he takes off. So there's a few things you can do. First of all, make sure that everything in your house is secure in terms of your windows, your screens, your doors. Because when a cat gets terrified, sometimes cats do run, and she's not going to have a good kitty judgment when she's terrified. So she might, dash out of a window, break through a screen, go through a door. So you really want to make sure that your house is secure when there are going to be fireworks. Just make sure your cat doesn't dash. The other thing is you can always create a small, safe place for your cat that she can retreat to. A little cat cube, a cat tunnel, a little small room. When cats are afraid, they do prefer small, very small, secure spaces that they can kind of go in and feel safe. So make sure you're providing plenty of safe spaces for your cat when there are going to be fireworks. The other thing you can get your cat used to the sound. You can, on your iPhone or device, find a recording of the fireworks noise, and you can sort of desensitize your cat to that noise. So you might start off playing the noise very softly to your cat for just a couple of seconds. And when the cat accepts that, you can play the fireworks noise a little longer and a little higher volume for your cat. And when that's accepted, you can up the volume a little bit more and extend the play a little bit longer, and so forth. So you can get your cat used to the noise and kind of desensitize your cat to that noise. And basically what happens is the cat will think, okay, that noise is happening. Nothing negative is going on. There aren't any terrible consequences. Nothing bad is happening to me. I guess that noise is okay. So you can sort of, if you really if your cat is really terrified and you want to get her used to that noise, you can do that on your own, before the fireworks themselves happen. So those are a few different things you can do.
Those are great. And, a lot of dogs also are very afraid of fireworks. So if you have a cat and a dog, or if you just have a dog and you happen to stumble upon this, then, really seriously consider what you're going to do during the New Year's, what you're going to do, whether that is you really want to do the whole desensitize them thing, or whether you want to just kind of do what I do, which is just give up on that stuff, because it's not that important to me, to be honest with you. The cats are a priority. So I would much rather not have that. Unfortunately, the city and some neighbors like to do fireworks. And so I can't impose that on others, but I can at least be here. I can be present. I can, the home and everything in it is secure. I can use the diffuser and various things to really calm them down and let them know that it's okay. There's no bomb raid, or, there's no war happening.
Exactly.
Well, heaven forbid. But, it's just these little things are super helpful.
Yes.
So that's it really for today. I wanted to cover Christmas and I wanted to cover New Year's and all the different suggestions that I can think of that are around those two holidays during this season. Is there anything else that you can think of that I might have missed?
I think you did a great job covering everything. And I'm just so happy to be part of the show once a month. So thank you.
Awesome. So it leaves me just to wish you a very, very happy holiday season. I know Hanukkah for you, and also a very happy New Year. And so thank you so much for joining me on the show. As always, it's great to catch up with you, and I look forward to catching up with you in the first or the second week of January of 2022, which will be like really weird in a way to say it's already 2022. But thank you so much for doing this with me. And I want to wish everybody who's watching or listening a very Merry Christmas. Hope you had a happy Hanukkah, which is past, and a wonderful new year, a bright and friendly new year. Let's make 2022 a really, really good year. And let's have none of this. I've requested this already on Facebook. None of these memes or these Bitmoji or anything that show a dumpster fire of 2021 and looking forward to 2022, because I've had 2 years of that. 2019, 2020 is going to be great. 2020, 2021 is going to be good. And every year it's been, another variant, another whatever. So let's not do that. This year, let's just forget about it. Just let's hope for the best, for improvement, and let's actually make it. Let's do it. Let's do 2022 as an awesome year for us and as an awesome year for our kitty cats. So thank you very much. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we'll see you next year.
Thank you, everyone.